We had split squad action today as the Toronto Blue Jays took on the Tampa Bay Rays and the Atlanta Braves. So we saw some good things. Right now, it is the seventh inning in both games. So we saw some good things by the pitching and the hitting. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. How's it going, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Had double barrel action today. The Jays took on the Atlanta Braves. It was on Sportsnet for those of you that were able to catch it. The Rays and Jays game was not televised, but we did see some clips on Twitter, and some interesting storylines happened throughout. So we got you covered, but we want to thank you all for the support that we've gotten on our pregame live streams, on our postgame videos. It's just been unbelievable. Hopefully we could keep it going all season long.
Yeah, support, especially on the streams and the videos, of course, as well, have been great. Make sure to hit the subscribe button before we get into it. We're on the road to 7,000, so it would mean the world if you're able to do that for us. And hopefully we can hit it maybe before opening day. But let's get into the first topic, which is Cavan Biggio stays hot, and we'll cover the rest of the hitting in this game against the Braves as well under this category. But I guess we'll start with Cavan Biggio, and this was one tweet I'll bring up before I get your thoughts, Peter, and it says if Cavan Biggio continues to hit this well, the Jays will have to find playing time for him this season. And he obviously went yard tonight or this afternoon. I'll pop up the clip now. And Peter, what were your thoughts on Cavan Biggio's play here today?
Yeah, well, we saw him. We spoke about it in the pregame live stream that, he always struggled against velocity. And Spencer Strider, that's a good test. That was 97 miles an hour over the heart of the plate, and he did not miss his pitch on a 2-0 count. He took him yard, and that's what Cavan Biggio has to do. He struggled to get the ball in the air in his major league career so far. He had a lot of success in the minor leagues, but it doesn't always translate. And if he does figure out his hitting, if he does figure out how he's going to operate at the plate, then he will get playing time just because he's so versatile. I've said it many times. He's the best base runner on the team, and he just offers another wrinkle to that lineup that not many other guys can. Santiago Espinal, you know what you're going to get out of him. Whit Merrifield, same thing, but Cavan Biggio is a bit of a wild card. Better all-around player than all of them, I think, and he can do a lot more when he's hot at the plate.
Yeah, unbelievable home run to him, especially because, like you said, it was Spencer Strider. It's one of the best young pitchers and pitchers in general in the league. And, many of the Jays were kind of struggling a little bit to hit off Spencer Strider. And then Biggio comes in and absolutely demolishes that pitch. So he's going to have to, the Jays are going to find playing time for him, especially if he's playing this well. And maybe he takes away some of, Whit Merrifield or Espinal's spot. But we're looking at the box score here against this is the Braves. Now, we will note that Springer did just hit a home run 2 minutes before recording. So that'll make him 1-for-4 with 2 RBIs. And I do have the clip for you, which I'll show you in a minute. But so yeah, Springer went 1-for-4, Biggio 1-for-3, Chapman had a rough go, Denny Jansen played well. But anyone else here that impressed you today? We'll touch on Nathan Lukes as well in his own topic, but I guess you can mention anyone else who impressed you today hitting wise.
Yeah, in the other game, obviously Bo Bichette impressed. My bold prediction was that he would go 3-for-3 with 2 extra base hits. That did not happen.
He went 2
It's
for
2
3.
for 3 as we speak right now. So still a good day at the office for him. But I want to stick with George Springer here. And you mentioned something to me, Nick. You said he looks hurt. Obviously, he hit the home run there, but you could see a little bit of discomfort still as he's recovering from that elbow surgery that he had in the offseason. He did not look right all of last year, even though he played a lot more games than he did in his first campaign with the Toronto Blue Jays. So he's so intense and he tends to go all out. And I even mentioned this to you that I don't want him to play in spring. Like, he doesn't have to. He has nothing left to prove. He's a World Series MVP. He's one of the best players on the Blue Jays, if not the best player, when he's hot at the plate. So what did you see that made you think maybe he's still recovering from that surgery there, Nick?
Yeah, now this was, I said this before he hit the home run, which I'll show you now as a disclaimer. He looked okay, looked okay there, hit an Oppo field off Elder and an absolute bomb. But that being said, earlier in the game, I don't know, he had one specific at bat where he kept finishing his swing with one hand, which is something that we saw him doing last year when he was hurt. And he just, I don't know, he didn't look right. He was grimacing a lot after his swings. Now, that could have just been, maybe it's nothing to worry about, but it was just something that caught my eye, and I was hoping not to see that at all this spring training, but maybe it's nothing to worry about. And he hit a home run after, so I'm sure he's okay.
But I agree with you. Like, he does not look 100%, and that's to be expected. He's still recovering from the surgery, but you're not crazy to say that he still looks like he's battling something. And maybe it's just also a force of habit. Maybe he's just been accustomed in the last couple of
Yeah,
years to
yeah.
finishing his swing like that because he's been dealing with those injuries. And we know what we're going to get out of George Springer when he's healthy and when he's on the field. But you never want to see him grimace because you just hold your breath. We all hold our breaths collectively as Blue Jays Nation, and we want him in there when the games matter most.
Yeah, and you quickly mentioned Bo Bichette hitting well. He obviously finished 2 for 3. Just a quick clip of his beautiful swing here, and it was what a piece of hitting. Obviously, no leg kick, his two-strike approach, and he was able to launch it opposite field in the trop in
Yeah.
the split squad game. So he's looking unbelievable. And let us know what your thoughts were on the hitters and maybe anything you noticed from George Springer. Maybe it was just us. But
Hmm.
let's move on now to the pitching remains solid. We'll touch on this quickly. Kevin Gausman pitched absolutely phenomenal today. He looked dominant. He was dominant. You can see the box score here now or in a second. But this was from Damon saying Kevin Gausman hit 99 miles per hour on one of his fastballs today, which is much higher than he usually averages. And then here's the box score. You had Kevin Gausman go 3 2/3, giving up no runs on 2 hits and 2 strikeouts. Bowden Francis really impressed as well, along with Anthony Bass and Eric
Hmm.
Swanson, who did finish that inning, but he did give up a solo shot. So what impressed you out of the pitching here? And I'll pop up some clips for Gausman in a second, but any other ones who impressed you, or was it mainly Gausman?
Well, we got to remember that this was a very weak
Yeah,
Atlanta lineup. I mean, Sam Hilliard was batting cleanup for them, a guy who hit like I think 120 last year with 4 home runs. So it was not their best lineup. There was no Ronald Acuna, there was no Ozzy Albies, there
Austin
was
Riley.
no Austin
Yeah.
Riley, and the list goes on. Michael Harris. None of their stars were playing. As well, Orlando Arcia was probably the most notable name in that lineup, and that's not a major league caliber lineup. So we'll take it with a grain of salt. But Gosman, his stuff looked good, and that's the most important thing you want to see in spring training. It's not about who he's facing. It's not about the results. It's did his stuff look good? Was it breaking right? Was he throwing hard? Was his control there? And everything was there. So that's a good splitter right there, and he had that going all day long. So he looked good. The bullpen looked good as well. Anthony Bass continued his hot spring training. And Bowden Francis impressed me a lot. He was very efficient, and they mentioned throughout the broadcast that he could be another guy to look out for maybe that fifth starter spot if someone gets injured or if they need a spot start every now and then. So he was very efficient. I think he got 4 outs on 9 pitches, which is very impressive in its own right. So good for him. Hopefully he can keep it going. And the pitching staff been good all spring long.
Yeah, it's been very, very good. And like you said, Bowden Francis has yet to give up an earned run this spring. He hasn't pitched too much, but he's looked very, very well. And another thing we'll quickly touch on before getting into the final topic was he had a nice pickup move at second base that was able to gun the runner down. And we'll be seeing a lot more of that throughout the season, of course, with the bigger bases, more stolen bases. But just wanted to point that out. It was a really nice pickoff move and one that we'll probably see a lot more of, especially with Kevin Gausman as he gets comfortable with his new delivery. And he looked very comfortable out there today. But let us know what your thoughts were on the pitching as we move into the final topic now, which is the battle for the fourth outfielder spot, or I guess the fourth spot on the roster, is intensifying. And the battle at this point is between a few people. It's between Nathan Lukes, Otto Lopez, Vinny Capra as well as in there. And this is saying there's no denying that Nathan Lukes' defensive upside is there. He certainly has that going for himself this spring. And that was after a diving catch that he did make in the outfield. And I guess, Peter, I'll get your thoughts on who you think is deserving of the spot. Obviously, we talked about it in our live stream today and said Otto Lopez,
Yeah.
but Nathan Lukes he's been unbelievable.
He's been very good in the spring, and he's a veteran guy. He's been a lifelong minor leaguer, and he's had a lot of success in the minors as well. But now the Jays are getting a little bit too left-handed heavy in the outfield, and that's my only reason as to why I'm leaning towards Otto Lopez. I still think he's got more upside than Nathan Lucas, and he's been hitting very well in the spring, and I expect him to play very well for Canada as well in the WBC. So I think I'm leaning towards Otto Lopez, but Nathan Lucas, especially now with Cavan Biggio playing so well, and him probably gonna have to take some at bats in an outfield spot, then you need a right-handed hitter for that final outfield spot. I guess you could call it the fifth outfield spot or like the 13th man on the roster. So that would probably be Otto Lopez's to lose, especially if he can continue his hot hitting in the WBC.
Yeah, I agree. And Nathan Lukes is making the decision much harder than maybe some of us would have imagined. I'll pop up the box score
Mhm.
one more time as he did go 2 for 3 with some really, really solid defenses. He's hitting 333 on the spring. So I don't know. Very, very interesting. And it's going to be very yeah, I'm very curious to see how it all pans out with
Yeah.
that fourth outfielder spot. And I'll give you one final look at the game that wasn't televised today. Nothing too crazy happened in this game. Berger got another hit, which was nice. Varsho did not get a hit. And then obviously Bichette and Kiermaier continue to do very, very solid things. But the pitching in this game was, not even worth really talking about with Drew Hutchison and Casey Lawrence. But yeah, that'll wrap up the video and the game recap. It's been very, very fun. Today was a fun day. The Jays, George Springer hit a bomb, Cavan Biggio hit a bomb, so it's been great, and we'll continue to do the live streams for you, and the support's been unbelievable, and we'll see you in tomorrow's video.
Just to say, Dalton Varsho actually did get a hit in
He
that
did
game. He went
after.
one for
Okay.
three with an RBI single. So all you guys writing him off in spring
Saved
training,
it.
he did go one for three with an RBI. So good day for him at the office.
Yeah, that's what happens when we record because one of us gotta head out. But Varsho, shout out to him. But he's been doing phenomenal. But like I said, we'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.
Thanks.